Big homie wanted to look like a gay painter.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those trophies came rolling in, but
he told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago.
50 Cent's been at it again, throwing shade, cracking jokes, and stirring up heat. From clowning Jay-Z for trying to dress like some legendary painter to calling him out, saying his rise in certain elite circles only happened because of Beyonce. 50's been firing shots for years, but now things just got wild again. The trophies and accolades might have stacked up for Jay, but the internet's losing it right now because people swear he finally clapped back his own slick way. A new clip is floating around that's got everyone glued to their screens, and this time it's not just playful trolling, it's about the Super Bowl situation. According to 50, that iconic halftime show we all remember almost didn't happen the way it did. Crazy, right? Something's been quietly bubbling in hip-hop for a while. One of those behind-the-curtain stories that most folks overlook because they don't realize how deep the power plays really go.
How do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened, possibly?
Not even threatened. You know, I think it's just, when you take the competition from, like, our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand.
And here's the wild part. It involves two of the biggest power players in the entire music industry, not just famous for their hits, but for their influence. This isn't some regular back and forth rap beef where it's all about who had the better verse. Nah, this goes way deeper, past charts, past streams, past the trends. We're talking boardroom politics, moves made in silence, and who really gets a seat at that exclusive table, while others are left outside watching it all go down. And let's be real, this ain't no throwback drama from the early 2000s that should have stayed in the past. This is fresh, and it's got everyone buzzing. 50's been openly claiming Jay-Z pulled strings behind the scenes to block him from one of the biggest stages in the world, the Super Bowl halftime show. You already know that moment burned into pop culture forever. Super Bowl 56, February 13th, 2022, SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. The energy that night was electric. Hip-hop finally took center stage on America's biggest TV night. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar all on one stage. It was hyped as a historic moment for the culture. And then, out of nowhere, like a flashback from the early 2000s, 50 Cent dropped in upside down, recreating that unforgettable in the club moment. The crowd went nuts, the internet exploded. Memes, nostalgia, pure chaos. It felt like the perfect surprise move. But here's where it gets real spicy. According to 50 himself, that legendary comeback almost didn't happen. And the reason? He dropped a name, Jay-Z. Now here's where the whole power game comes into play. Since 2019, Jay-Z's company, Roc Nation, had a partnership with the NFL, handling halftime show operations. Everything from who gets picked to how it's presented. We're talking full creative control, production, direction, and artist lineup all moving through that same Roc Nation pipeline. In plain talk, that means Jay-Z has serious pull when it comes to the biggest stage in the world. And that's why some people actually believe 50's story. If you got that much influence over the system, you can shape who gets to shine and who gets left off completely. According to 50, that's exactly what went down.
Past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, you're not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It just don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for?
Tell me.
He claimed Jay used his corporate position to block him from being on the show. In late 2024, 50 sat down in an interview and aired it all out again. He said Jay went straight to Dr. Dre and made it clear he didn't want 50 anywhere near that stage. No creative disagreements, no scheduling issues, none of that polite PR talk. 50 painted it as a straight-up power play, a deliberate move to keep him out. And when you really think about it, this stops feeling like just another rap rivalry. It starts sounding like corporate chess at the highest level. Man, this whole thing turns into way more than just music drama. It's a story about power and control, about how old tension can get turned into a weapon when mixed with corporate influence. One behind-the-scenes decision can flip the script on a major cultural event. And this one, it got real messy, because 50 didn't just say Jay tried to block him, he dropped another bomb. He claimed Eminem stepped in and changed everything. According to 50, M basically gave the NFL a serious ultimatum. If 50's not in the show, I'm not performing. No suggestion, no negotiation, just a hard line in the sand. And get this, people from 50's original circle backed it up publicly. They've been saying the same thing for years, that Eminem wasn't having it unless 50 was part of the lineup. That's loyalty on another level. Now think about what that really means. The most talked about Super Bowl halftime show in years almost lost one of its biggest stars, Eminem himself, all allegedly because Jay-Z didn't want 50 on that stage. That's not just some petty hip-hop beef anymore. That's a corporate power play with millions of dollars and global attention on the line. If that's true, that kind of behind-the-curtain move could have made the NFL look wild on the biggest TV night of the year. And 50 hasn't exactly been quiet about why he believes it happened either. In a major interview from July 2024, he spelled it out clear as day. They wanted him gone, and people were actively working to make it happen. He even hinted that it was so serious, it could have shown up in official documents if the back and forth went any further. Basically, as 50 put it, Eminem made it simple. No 50, no Slim Shady. And then, later in 2024, during another big interview, 50 doubled down again. He said at first, they tried to make it seem like it was just an NFL call, that the league was behind the block. But according to him, that was just the cover story, a convenient way to hide what was really going on behind the scenes.
Ain't never been no 50 Cent Jay-Z conversations, questioning whether there was a competition between the two of them. There's a huge difference in energy internationally in 50 Cent and Jay-Z. In fact, his largest selling record sold 430-something thousand copies. My largest selling records, plural, 2 of them sold 5 million.
50 says he saw the whole play unfolding right in front of him. According to him, industry insiders told him exactly where the resistance was coming from, so he never bought into that it was the NFL's decision story. He claims he knew the truth, and that's what made him dig even deeper. So the big question is, why would one of hip-hop's biggest power players allegedly go that far just to block another major artist from the Super Bowl stage? Well, 50's answer takes things to another level, because he says this isn't about music at all. He frames it as straight-up competition, but not the kind that's about who drops the better verse or racks up more streams. He's talking about a battle for empires, market space, and influence, a fight over who gets to stand as the face of hip-hop business and who turns into a threat to that position. If that's really the angle, then the Super Bowl stage wasn't just a performance, it was a symbol, a golden stamp of validation that says who's officially crowned by the culture. So in 50's mind, none of it was random. It was strategic, planned, and meant to send a message. That's why he says this whole thing stopped being rap beef a long time ago. It turned into something colder, something rooted in corporate power with a whole lot of history behind it. 50's theory, it's not about music anymore, it's about lanes. He said many times that his run in television totally flipped the board. His hit show Power on Stars didn't just pull ratings, it built a cultural machine. It turned him into a mogul with serious weight in Hollywood and the business world. And in 50's view, that made him a direct rival to Jay-Z's entertainment empire. Not rapper versus rapper, this was business versus business. 2 heavyweights fighting for the same spotlight, the same influence, the same seat at the top. So when 50 talks about the Super Bowl, he doesn't see it as some artist lineup issue. It's about market control, industry influence, and who gets to shape what hip-hop's business future looks like. Who sits at the top, and who's seen as the threat trying to climb up there. And maybe the most revealing part, at least the way 50 tells it.
Huge difference in who we are with each other internationally. Let them be fooled in America and think there's a competition there, because America can be purchased. We can buy it with marketing dollars. You see what I'm saying? But the rest of the world, there's not enough marketing dollars to go around to change the way the rest of the world feels about it.
Is that even though the NFL took all the public heat at first, he says he never believed that story for a second. 50 says he never bought the NFL made the call story for a second. In his eyes, that was just corporate cover, a nice clean way to hide the real power moves behind a wall of business talk. He swears the corporate shield was already up, the plausible deniability neatly built in, and when things hit the fan, the blame was always going to fall on the easiest target, the league itself. But 50, he acts like he saw straight through it. He's been saying he knew exactly who was pulling the strings behind the curtain the whole time. And that's exactly why this whole situation still feels so explosive. Because here's the twist. Jay-Z has never addressed it publicly. Not a single word, no detailed response, no public denial, no slick comment in an interview, nothing. And in hip-hop, that silence, it's like throwing gasoline on an open flame. Some folks read Jay's silence as confidence, like he's too powerful, too established to waste energy on internet talk or petty drama. But others see it totally different. They think that quiet might actually be damage control, a way to avoid drawing more attention to something that could have a few uncomfortable truths behind it. Either way, the silence keeps the rumor alive. The more time passes, the louder it echoes through hip-hop circles and across social media. By September 2024, the conversation blew up again. People started connecting dots, claiming the same gatekeeping behavior was showing up in other situations too. Two well-known artists even went public, suggesting that Jay-Z might have blocked Lil Wayne from being part of the 2025 Super Bowl show because of past tension. And they didn't even try to hide the comparison. They straight up said, if 50 says it happened to him, why couldn't it happen to someone else? That's how the internet does it. It builds a whole pattern out of whispers and speculation in real time. Before long, one claim turns into a full-blown narrative about someone allegedly using corporate power to settle old scores and keep rivals off the biggest stages in the world. And of course, the reactions came flying in. One side is riding hard with 50. They call Jay petty, label him a gatekeeper, accuse him of using his position and connections to keep others out while protecting his own empire. But the other side fires right back. They defend Jay, saying 50's got a long track record of stirring chaos, trolling, and turning every conflict into content for clicks. So for them, this whole story is just another wild chapter in 50's never-ending chaos playbook. And like always, the real truth probably lives somewhere in that messy middle between the power plays, pride, and public perception. But one thing hard to deny, this saga still has the whole culture talking. There's still no official statement that clearly confirms or denies 50's version of events. No, this is false. No, this is true. Just silence. And that silence, it's been fueling 50's narrative non-stop. For a lot of people, the quiet feels louder than any public response could ever be. But to really get why this tension runs so deep, why Jay-Z would allegedly go that far to keep 50 off that Super Bowl stage, you've got to rewind back to the beginning. Every long-standing rivalry starts with a single spark, and this one's roots go way back, before 50 was the mogul we know today. Picture it, 1999. Curtis Jackson was just a hungry rapper out of Queens, grinding for recognition. He had a record deal that wasn't doing much, a pile of songs recorded, and barely anyone paying attention. He wasn't a brand yet, he wasn't protected, just a dude with ambition trying to kick open doors that refused to open for him.
He's a piece of work, man. He always put somebody in front of him. When Jada came for him, he put Beanie in front of him. And Beanie went back and forth with Jadakiss. When Cam came for him, he put True Life in front of him. And they went back and forth. And he just didn't compete.
So he made a bold move, something wild to set the tone for everything he'd become known for later. He decided to rob the whole rap game, not literally, but through music. He flipped the idea into a lyrical stick-up and dropped a track called How to Rob. In the song, he imagined robbing nearly every big rapper and singer in the industry, and he didn't skip Jay-Z. The J-bar was ruthless. He took aim at Jay's massive success, throwing a playful but bold jab that painted a scene right by the Bentley door. It was the kind of line that made people stop and say, "Wait, who is this guy?" That single track became guerrilla marketing gold, the perfect strategy for an unknown rapper trying to make noise. Say something wild, make everyone repeat your name, and suddenly the whole industry has to pay attention. And guess what? It worked. How to Rob spread through the streets the old school way. White label vinyl copies, mixtapes, radio DJs spinning it in every city. Before long, it was all over the underground circuit. Some insiders even say it was getting around 650 spins a week across different stations. And just like that, everyone in hip-hop was talking about this bold new kid from Queens who had the nerve to name drop over 40 artists like he was already untouchable. 50 had forced his way into the spotlight, and from that moment, a legendary rivalry with Jay-Z had quietly begun to take shape. Most of the rappers 50 name-dropped on How to Rob either laughed it off or acted like it never happened. But Jay-Z, he wasn't about to let that slide quietly. At a massive New York summer concert in 1999, Jay hit the crowd with a freestyle that dropped one of the most iconic lines in hip-hop history. "I'm about $1. What the 50 cent?" Cold, clever, and dismissive. That single line said it all. Jay positioning himself as big money while turning 50 into spare change. The crowd went wild, and that moment instantly became hip-hop legend. Jay later locked that same line into history when he used it again on an official release from late 1999, produced by Timbaland, cementing it as more than a freestyle shot. It was now a permanent part of the culture. But if you know 50, you know he doesn't stay quiet when someone comes at him. In 2000, he fired back with Be a Gentleman, a track where he straight up questioned Jay's street credibility. He mocked the whole "I run New York" image and clowned the idea that commercial success automatically equals respect in the streets.
Coolest punk in hip hop. His presentation makes people decide to say,
Oh man.
you know, because he's big, and his take on it is bigger than the actual art form. He won't actually.
50 made it clear he wasn't impressed by chart positions. He was talking real-world clout. The back and forth was heating up fast, but fate hit pause in the harshest way possible. On May 24th, 2000, 50 was shot 9 times outside his grandmother's house in Queens. Miraculously, he survived, but it flipped his whole world upside down. Columbia Records dropped him immediately and shelved his debut album, Power of the Dollar. The shooting forced everything to stop cold, pressing pause on the rise in tension between him and Jay-Z for the next 2 years. While 50 was recovering and rebuilding from the ground up, Jay kept stacking wins and solidifying his empire at the top of the rap game. But that silence between them wasn't peace. It was just a quiet storm building on both sides. Then came 2002, and the whole landscape shifted. 50 came back harder than ever, this time under the wings of Eminem and Dre, signed to Shady Aftermath. That was a power move that changed everything. Once that machine started rolling, hip-hop would never be the same again. By February 2003, Get Rich or Die Trying dropped, and it was an earthquake. The album exploded, selling roughly 872,000 copies in its first week, and the singles, total domination. In the Club was everywhere, on the radio, in clubs, on TV, while 21 Questions showed 50 could do it all. 50 didn't just get famous, he became unavoidable. Every corner of the culture had his sound, his image, his attitude. The question stopped being, is 50 legit, and became, who can possibly stop him? Even Jay-Z himself later admitted he saw the tidal wave coming. In a 2013 radio interview, Jay said he warned his own team, telling them, "We got a small window, flood the market, drop everything now, because once 50 comes out, it's over." And he wasn't wrong, because once 50 arrived, you could feel the shift instantly. The game changed overnight, and everybody knew it. By 2003, What you had between 50 Cent and Jay-Z wasn't peace, it was an uneasy truce. They could share space, breathe the same air, and even appear together in public, but it was all surface level cool. Behind the smiles, the tension was still boiling. On paper, things looked smooth. They co-starred in a Reebok commercial, both headlined the Rock the Mic tour, and kept crossing paths in the same music and business circles. From the outside, it looked like grown man respect, but underneath, the tension never really died. 50 kept making sure people knew he saw himself as the bigger name, especially on the global stage. He was obsessed with numbers, always treating sales like scoreboards. 50 bragged that his G-Unit sneakers were outselling Jay's S. Carter line like crazy, claiming a 6-to-1 margin. Whether that was marketing talk or fact didn't matter. The message was loud and clear. 50 wanted the world to know he was winning, and over time, 50 got even more direct about what he thought Jay's weaknesses were. According to 50, Jay avoids head-on confrontation. He doesn't like to get his hands dirty. Instead, he moves like a corporate chess player, making quiet power moves through business deals and alliances. 50 said Jay likes to put other people in front of him to handle conflict, while he stays clean behind the scenes. He's even called Jay the coolest punk in hip-hop, a jab that cut deep. 50 framed Jay's calm executive image as a shield, something that protects him from ever having to face the chaos head-on. Depending on who you ask, that's either genius strategy or just ducking smoke.
When Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those trophies came rolling in.
But no matter how you view it, 50's message stayed consistent. Jay plays the game like a chess master who rarely dirties his hands, moving pieces quietly while still winning on the board. By 2004, that rivalry had officially evolved from rap bars to big business. That year, 50 struck a deal with Vitamin Water, but instead of taking a quick cash endorsement, he went the smart route, equity. He wanted ownership, not just a check. And that move turned out to be legendary. When Coca-Cola bought the company in 2007 for around $4.1 billion, 50's slice of the deal was massive. Reports estimate anywhere from $60 million to $100 million after taxes. That play turned him into one of the richest rappers in the game overnight. Meanwhile, Jay wasn't sitting idle either. That same year, 2007, he pulled off his own major business win, selling Rocawear to Iconic's brand group for roughly $204 million in cash. It was a headline-grabbing move, the kind only a mogul could pull off. Both deals were game changers, two different paths to generational wealth. But you already know how 50 spun it. He never missed a chance to remind everyone that his Vitamin Water deal was the smarter, slicker, more profitable play. In his eyes, it proved he was the sharper businessman, and that Jay, for all his corporate polish, wasn't the only mogul in town. And just when you thought it might cool down, 2007 brought yet another layer to the rivalry, the sales battle that had the whole music industry watching. 2007 turned into one of hip-hop's most dramatic showdowns ever. Kanye West's Graduation versus 50 Cent's Curtis, both dropping on the exact same day. It was pure spectacle, two titans going head-to-head for first-week sales, and the whole industry was watching like it was a championship fight. When the numbers came in, Kanye took the crown, about 957,000 copies compared to 50's roughly 690,000. Still huge numbers for both, but 50 didn't take the loss quietly. He later claimed that Jay-Z, who was running Def Jam at the time, had his hands in the mix, saying Jay used his label power to push Kanye's project harder. Whether that's true or not, it lined up perfectly with 50's bigger narrative, that Jay's always moving chess pieces quietly from behind the curtain.
You're saying the success is derived from the marriage.
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades. Because he's no longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
Right? You were connected to the biggest.
And then came the next bomb, the one that always sends the internet into a frenzy, the Grammy theory. Across multiple interviews in 2023 and 2024, 50 started pushing the idea that Jay-Z's Grammy dominance isn't just about skill. it's about connections. He suggested that Jay's long streak of wins is tied more to his marriage to Beyoncé and their joint influence than to pure musical merit. Let's be real, Jay's got 25 Grammy Awards, making him the most awarded rapper in history. 50 didn't deny Jay's talent, but he framed those wins as a mix of talent, timing, and positioning. To be fair, Jay did win 4 Grammys before his collaborations with Beyoncé ever began, but here's where 50's argument hits. Out of Jay's total 25 wins, 21 came after 2004, right around the time he transitioned into his mogul family man era and became part of the most powerful couple in music. 50 used that timeline to feed into a bigger criticism, that the Grammys don't just reward artistry, they reward image, alliances, and influence. He's been calling out the system itself, saying it favors industry politics over raw impact. He even points to Tupac as proof. No Grammy wins, yet one of the most culturally powerful artists ever. To 50, that shows the game doesn't always honor the real pioneers. And yeah, 50's got 3 Grammys of his own, but his tone isn't bitter rapper crying. He frames it like he's pulling the curtain back, showing people how the industry really works. Relationships over talent, optics over authenticity. But of course, 50 don't stop there. He never does. Once the business talk cools down, he always slides into personal trolling. He's taken repeated shots at Jay's look and image, joking that Jay modeled his look after legendary artist Jean-Michel Basquiat, basically saying Jay's whole art mogul vibe is more costume than character. And he's even thrown jabs at Jay's 4.44 album too, clowning it as golf course music, a slick way of calling it too polished, too grown, too far from the raw energy that built hip-hop in the first place. At this point, it's clear, 50's rivalry with Jay isn't just about bars or trophies, it's about credibility, control, and who really defines the culture. 50's been calling Jay out for years, basically saying his whole vibe has gotten elitist and disconnected from the streets that built his name in the first place. And the trolling, non-stop. He's turned clowning Jay's look into a full-time hobby, posting memes, cracking jokes, and taking every single chance the internet gives him to keep the story alive. That's why this rivalry never dies down. It's got too many layers. Music, money, image, legacy, awards, business power, it's all mixed together. 50 keeps the tension alive, and fans treat it like a never-ending hip-hop Cold War, where every subtle move, every lyric, every post has hidden meaning. And the wildest part, the irony isn't lost on anybody. From the outside, it almost looks tragic. 2 men who came from nothing, both turning impossible odds into billion-dollar empires. Jay came out of the Marcy Projects in Brooklyn. 50 came from South Jamaica, Queens. 2 hustlers who climbed to the top through pure grit and strategy.
Image yourself after a gay painter. The big homie want to look like a gay painter.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about Basquiat. He wants to look like a gay painter.
But all logic, they should have been the ultimate story of mutual respect. 2 bosses who proved the grind could lead to ownership, control, and legacy. They're literally proof that hip-hop can create moguls. But instead of unity, we've watched them spend nearly 25 years locked in this quiet, calculated feud that never really ends. What started as rap tension turned into a full-on business rivalry, and now is morphed again. It lives in the social media era, where every little jab becomes a headline, every meme becomes a story, and every interview clip reignites the debate. Still, 50's always made one thing clear. He doesn't act like he personally hates Jay. He's even said they can be cool when they run into each other in person. But the issue isn't about handshakes, it's about how Jay moves. In 50's eyes, Jay's whole approach is built around corporate chess moves, handling personal beef through power, not punches. He doesn't throw shots directly, he applies pressure quietly, through partnerships, influence, and positioning. 50 says that's how Jay settles things, by using business structures to handle what used to be handled in the streets. And that right there, that's the core of 50's critique. He swears Jay hides behind business deals and boardrooms, keeping his image clean and untouchable. He calls it a safe power play, a way to protect the brand while never getting his hands dirty. Now, depending on who you ask, that's either smart strategy or avoiding smoke. But either way, 50's entire brand is built on being the opposite. He thrives in the uncomfortable, he feeds off confrontation, and he's never afraid to stir the pot right out in the open. That's why decades later, this rivalry still feels alive, because while Jay moves like a CEO protecting his empire, 50 keeps acting like the disruptor who refuses to play by those same rules. And that clash, that's what keeps the culture talking. 50's whole code is simple. If somebody steps to him, he's coming right back, loud and public. No waiting, no quiet plotting behind closed doors. He's built his entire image on being bold, confrontational, and fearless, no matter the fallout. In his world, action speaks louder than diplomacy. To him, Jay-Z moves completely different. Strategic, where 50's spontaneous. Private, where 50's public. Diplomatic, where 50's aggressive. It's two opposite energy sources. One runs on shock waves, the other on strategy. And at this point, one thing's for sure, this rivalry isn't going anywhere. As long as 50's got social media to post on and Jay's got his corporate empire to protect, the shots will keep flying. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's explosive, but it always keeps hip-hop's longest running Cold War alive, because it's not just about beef, it's about what that beef represents. Right now, all the storylines are colliding in one moment. You've got the Super Bowl claims, making people question who really controls access at the top of the culture. You've got the Grammy theory, forcing fans to rethink what awards actually mean in a world run by influence and politics. You've got the endless style and identity jabs that keep Jay under the microscope. And at the heart of it all, two men who started from the bottom, but ended up separated not by success, but by philosophy. 50 moves chest out, unbothered by backlash, posting through chaos that would send most celebrities straight into damage control mode. Jay moves silent and surgical, letting lawyers, labels, and corporate connections do the heavy lifting, while he stays calm and unshaken. Two kings, two styles, gladiator versus emperor, street corner versus boardroom, comment section versus contract clause. And the wildest part? After decades of jabs, hit records, business wars, and online trolling, neither one is falling. They're both still standing strong, sitting on top of empires they built from nothing. Each man achieved things his younger self could have never dreamed of. In the end, maybe that's the real secret. This rivalry doesn't just divide them, it drives them. It keeps them sharp, strategic, and always competing to stay one step ahead. Because after a while, it's not even about hate anymore. It's about definition. Each man exists partly because of the other. Their names are forever linked in the story of hip-hop's modern corporate era, an era where the weapons aren't just bars or beats anymore, but leverage, image, and influence. So next time 50 throws another jab online, or you hear whispers about someone getting blocked from a big opportunity behind the scenes, remember, you're not just watching another celebrity feud. You're watching two kings fight for the same throne, using tools and tactics that didn't even exist when they first picked up a mic. If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Whose side are you on, 50 or Jay? And what do you think really went down behind the scenes? If you want more deep dives into hip-hop's biggest rivalries and power plays, stay locked in, because this saga's just one of many. I'll catch you in the next one.